Alright, I got a new bike. It's an e-bike, the Score 6080. I've been looking for an e-bike for a while, and I saw this for $3,500 online, and I saw that it had a big battery, you know, a long travel, good frame, and a Bosch motor, and I didn't really hesitate to buy it. A lot of like the drivetrain and the brakes are pretty mid, but those are easy to switch out. So this is my first ride, basically my first ride. I rode a local green trail around my house, but nothing on there even worth mentioning. Just wanted to get the cockpit set up and like suspension figured out. Wow, this trail's overgrown. So yeah, right now everything is stock except for the handlebars. It came with some, I'm not even sure what they were, but I didn't like them and I didn't feel like running them. But otherwise, it's my first impression of a completely stock bike. And the suspension's good. It's what I run on my main bike, Zeb and Super Deluxe. Not the ultimate models, so you don't have as many options with adjustability, but that doesn't really bother me. So yeah, it's good suspension, motor, battery, frame for a really good price. Not too many negatives so far. I mean, I have some complaints about the spec. But for $3,400, whatever. I'm gonna replace the NX drivetrain, because that just rattles. I'm sure you hear it. These Kodar brakes, also not amazing. What else? That's basically it. I mean, GX derailleur, GX cassette. I have an extra wheel that I'm gonna throw on there, but you wouldn't need to do that. And then new brakes, and then after that, I'd say you have a really solid bike. I can't give a great idea how this bike descends, not yet anyway, but I'm gonna go do a more gnarly and a longer trail, and then probably toward the end of the trail I'll discuss how it performs downhill, going downhill. Climbing wise, on the technical climbs, I do notice the shorter chainstay a little bit, but it's really not too bad. The main other e-bike I've ridden a fair bit is a Specialized Kenevo, and I would definitely say that one climbs better when it's technical, but it's not that hard on this. You just sometimes get out of the saddle and keep the weight on the front wheel, and it goes good. One thing that's worth mentioning is the seat tube I guess like insertion length, basically how much dropper you can stick in the seat tube, is not a lot. So this came with a 150 mil, and I'm running that fully dropped, and it feels a little bit high, like just a little bit higher than I'm used to on my Patrol. On my Patrol I run a 210 and it's fully dropped, and in here the 150 sticks out a fair bit. I'm on a size medium, which is like 459 mil reach. Not sure if that's in the low or high position, but for now I'm running the bike in the high position. That's like the only problem I've had with the bike so far. On the long fire road climbs, this bike is pretty comfortable. I mean, it's an e-bike, so I can't say that it like pedals well or not, but there's no major issue. I don't feel like I'm stuck over the front too much or leaning off the back too much. Yeah, it's comfortable. Not much to say. So I've been pedaling for a while now. Boost mode, and then whatever's below boost. Kind of half and half. And it's used like half a bar of battery. It's insane. I started the ride with like half a bar missing, and yeah, it's only lost another half. Probably done, let's see, from the bottom, around 1,500 feet of climbing. Somewhere in that ballpark. And yeah, it's doing great. I'm gonna do a little mini techie jump trail, and I'm gonna take it easy because it's a new bike, and last time I rode this trail it was on a bike with new parts and I crashed. Can't pull for this. These brakes are not bed in. They're barely working. Or it could just be that it's the typical power for Code Rs. So yeah, so far it feels good. The only issue I have is this seat is pretty high. It's like, I don't know what that is, 50, I don't know, I'll measure it and put it on screen, but it's coming out of the seat tube a fair bit. Otherwise though, the bike feels really good. Suspension kinematics feel great. Someone's being airlifted on the trail. I hope they're fine. We'll see soon enough. That was unreasonably gnarly. Wow, I remember no lines. Sure hope whoever that is will be fine. Honestly, suspension wise, it feels better than my Patrol, my analog bike. I mean, the back linkage is definitely more sophisticated, and the front's a 29 on this bike. On my Patrol, it's so the motor on my, or the battery on my GoPro ran out, but I was mainly talking about how the suspension felt on the downhill trails, I guess, and I'd say it feels really good. The rear end, I'm noticing it feels a lot more active than the suspension on my Patrol. And the front, well, the front's just a fork, so you can set that up how you want. But yeah, the suspension's been feeling good. I'm gonna go ride some local jumps and some corners, just because I feel like if all I did was ride a downhill trail, it wouldn't quite be a complete wouldn't give me a good idea of what the bike is like on everything. So yeah, I'm gonna hit some jumps, like 2 or 3 berms, and see how it feels. So after filming the downhill trail, I put a wheel I had that was laying around on this bike, because that wheel had an XD driver, which lets me put on a GX cassette, and the bike's been a lot quieter since doing that. There's still a little rattle sometimes, which I have to figure out, but it's been mostly good. It took me about 15 minutes to do a climb that would normally take me probably almost an hour on my normal bike, and I wasn't even in boost mode. Felt pretty good through there. Honestly, I think this wheelbase, it's probably a bit shorter than my Patrol, which helps it not feel too clunky. Because sometimes e-bikes, I find they feel clunky or sluggish. It's a lot better. I think I just had to get the speed figured out. Alright, I'm gonna try the other jumps. Honestly, I'm really glad this bike feels similar to my Patrol. Wow. I feel like for some reason e-bikes always feel like they roll faster at this spot. It's pretty flat, so maybe the weight helps a bit. Not too sure. This is kind of like the flowy, bermy. Whew. Wow. So impressed. Maybe it's because I sized down, but this bike, you can barely tell you're riding an e-bike when you ride it. Yeah, it just handles great. Doesn't feel, it doesn't feel heavy or like it's super long and low and slack. Yeah, still taking it easy on the bike. Nothing too crazy. I want to get some decent brakes on. Yeah, I want to get decent brakes before I do anything too crazy. I'm honestly super happy with this purchase. There's a few components on the bike that I didn't like, but honestly, once I get the brakes, I'm gonna put some Hayes Dominions on it. Once I get those, it really doesn't need much else. I'm gonna cruise back home now. Whoa. Honestly, I feel like I can't say enough good things about this bike. The only like 2 issues I have is the spec, which is understandable, more than understandable for such a cheap e-bike with a good power system. And then my only like significant complaint is that the seat tube is pretty shallow, so most likely you're not going to be able to run a big dropper. And if I were to size up to a large instead of a medium, the reach jumps by 25 mil, which I think it's a lot. I think jumps by 15 or 20 would make more sense, because this is 460, 459, whatever. And if it was 480, I would have gotten it, but 485 and it being an e-bike, it's just a little too big. So, but yeah, overall, first impressions, it's been great. I want to ride some gnarlier stuff, just to get a really good feel for it. But like I said, I'm waiting on brakes before I do any of that, so I'll definitely post a follow-up video or like a long-term review after I've had it for months or a year or years, I don't know.